Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of January 2015, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an important month for you it is in the context of love, and it starts right out of the gate. We have a full moon, a very potent full moon at that, happening in your opposite sign. And this full moon is speaking with Pluto in your sign and speaking with Uranus as well, activating the conversation between Uranus and Pluto that I've actually been talking about, especially as we go along in the weekly horoscopes. But I've been talking about this since 2012 when this conversation first started to kick in. And now this year, we will have our last peak moment a little bit later on this year before this starts to wane. And this has really asked you to rebirth yourself, to be honest with yourself, to accept change, to make change, to focus on what really matters, and to understand at the essential what it is that truly has value. Now you add this full moon in your opposite side. Very emotional, very intense, very rare for a full moon to be like this. But here it is. And not only that, with its intensity, it's happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with love, that has to do with partnership. And when there is a full moon in your opposite sign, even when it's not so potent, it does suggest developments in the context of love. And for those of you who are single, there does tend to be at least one person who in some way represents your learning in love as well. And as I said, this is very potent. So it does look like people there now or people that will be there really will have a very powerful, if not transformative effect on your life. So we've got this full moon taking place. And for those of you in partnerships, this is going to speak very strongly. This is you being honest with yourself about who you're with, being honest with yourself about who this person is, and if you can accept them or not, because that's really going to be the only place you have power. Can you accept this person or not? If you can't, this is about being honest with yourself and making the change within you. If you can, then ultimately it is about you. It is about you making those changes within yourself. It's not necessarily about this other person doing anything different. It is about you coming to a sense of peace that this is the person with whom you are with and being okay with that. Because surrender is the big key here. You cannot control other people, and other people will do all kinds of things that have nothing to do with you. It's a big lesson with this full moon. And if you're in an established partnership, that lesson will especially be highlighted for you. Those of you who are dating somebody, this lesson also comes through as well. But I do think that this element of it seems that if you're in an established bond, this whole element of needing to surrender and needing to accept is amplified. Whereas if you're just dating somebody, getting to know them, it's a lot more about what changes need to happen if you're going to continue along and have this move towards a partnership. And so it becomes much more about you seeing who this person actually is, being honest with yourself of who they actually are, and deciding whether or not you're going to move on, whether you want to stick around for this or not. So the likelihood of acceptance and accepting it as part of your spiritual path becomes a lot more likely if you're already invested and already committed. If you're not so much so, it's much more likely that you'll look at what's going on and say to yourself, okay, is it me or is it you? And then saying, okay, am I going to leave? Am I going to stay? That becomes a much more dominant conversation. Those of you, but also I will say that it is ultimately comes down to being honest with yourself about who you're with and why you attracted this person into your life. Why and how this person came into your life and what it is representing about you. And those of you who are open to love, I think you're going to find this a very powerful time. As I said, there's going to be at least one person there who's part of triggering these lessons for you, triggering these understandings for you. And as part of this, will be encouraging you to really look at what it is within you that your real expectations are, and where it is that maybe you're trying to control things so that you don't have to be truly vulnerable. So there's an element here that has to do with, yes, power and power dynamic, But more than that, I mean, it looks like you're likely to meet somebody who's going to trigger you very profoundly, who's going to make you look at how maybe in the past you've been controlling or you've tried to be controlling, and where it is in the past that you have maybe not been as fair, or you've had sort of walls up. This is all about shattering those walls. This is all about you looking at where it is that you need to change and you need to heal so that you can move towards a future filled with the type of love that you desire. Well, in order to do that, you have to surrender control. And that's what your learning is going to be. What is it within you that feels the need to control? And how can you heal that so that you can just be with somebody and allow them to be who they are as well? And it really comes down to blocks, those blocks that may be within you that keep love far. You get to look at some of that and you get to heal some of that thanks to at least one person who acts as a catalyst for your awareness now. One thing is for sure though, early this month, there's such a focus on love. There's such a focus on relationships. Let that carry you, because it does look like a little bit of a roller coaster. You really don't have that much control. And allow those emotions to come, and they will go just as quickly, and your focus will change. And when they come, even when they feel really intense, try to enjoy them. Try to see the wisdom in them. Try to see how they are actually moving you towards greater love and towards greater wisdom, because that is certainly what they are doing as part of a very, very divine plan for your life.